Welcome. We're about to do a deep dive into the psychology of learning. And let me tell you, this is an absolutely crucial topic for your UPSC paper. We're not just going to skim the theories, we're going to crack the code on how you can apply them to the exact kind of questions you're going to face on exam day. So let's kick things off with a real-world scenario that, hey, looks a lot like a 2023 UPSC question. Why is it that just visiting a hospital might make you feel sick to your stomach before any treatment even starts? Well, that physical reaction, it's not just in your head, it's a learned response. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to break that down. All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with how we learn by association, then see how consequences mold our behavior. After that, we'll explore the mind's role in all this, tackle some special topics you'll see on the UPSC exam, and then wrap it all up with a solid framework for your answers. First up, learning by association. You can't talk about learning without starting here, with the absolute cornerstone of behaviorism, classical conditioning, all thanks to Ivan Pavlov. You know, the brilliance of Pavlov's experiment is just how simple it was. He took something natural, a dog salivating for food, and showed it could be taught to salivate just at the sound of a bell. How? By ringing the bell right before giving the food, over and over again, until that bell, which meant nothing at first, started to mean food is coming. So at its core, what are we talking about? We're talking about learning through association. A totally neutral event, like a bell, gets linked to a significant event like getting food. That's why we call it stimulus-stimulus learning, or SS learning. One stimulus starts to predict another. And that brings us right back to that 2023 exam question. The phenomenon we're seeing there is called conditioned taste aversion. It's an incredibly powerful form of classical conditioning. Let's really unpack how that works. Okay, think about it. At first, the hospital is just a building, right? A neutral place. But when it's repeatedly paired with chemotherapy, that's the unconditioned stimulus that naturally makes someone feel nauseous, the hospital itself becomes a conditioned stimulus. Pretty soon, just the sight, the smell, the idea of the hospital can trigger nausea. That's now a conditioned response, happening even before the treatment. And guess what? This very same principle, something asked about in 2024, is how we form our likes and preferences. Ever hear a song that was playing during a really happy time? Now whenever you hear that song, you get a little boost of happiness. That's classical conditioning. It's exactly what advertisers are doing when they pair their product with images of fun, excitement, or happiness. Now, let's switch gears to a totally different kind of learning. This isn't about linking two different things in the world. Nope. This is about how the consequences of our own actions change what we do in the future. Welcome to B.F. Skinner's world of operant conditioning. Picture this. You've got a rat inside the famous Skinner box. It's just exploring and it accidentally presses a lever. Boom, a food pellet drops down. That's a reward, a reinforcement. What do you think the rat is going to do? It's going to press that lever again and again. The behavior, pressing the lever, operates on the environment to produce a result. And here's a perfect practical application question from 2017. If you're toilet training a child, what do? You reinforce the behavior you want to see. Every single time the child uses the toilet successfully, you give them a positive reinforcer. Big praise, a shiny sticker, maybe a small treat. That consequence makes it much, much more likely that the behavior will happen again. So if the exam asks you to contrast these two, what's the bottom line? In classical conditioning, the learner is totally passive. The response is an involuntary reflex, like salivating. But in operant conditioning, the learner is an active player in the game. They're making a voluntary choice, like that rat deciding to press the lever. All right, pay close attention here because this is something that comes up on the exam all the time, and it's where a lot of people get tangled up. We have got to be crystal clear on the difference between negative reinforcement and punishment. I promise you, they are not the same thing. Here it is, the key distinction. Both kinds of reinforcement, whether positive or negative, have the same goal: to increase a behavior. Negative reinforcement works by taking away something you don't like. You buckle your seatbelt to make that awful beeping stop. Punishment is the exact opposite. Its goal is to decrease a behavior by adding something unpleasant, like getting a ticket for speeding. This table is basically your cheat sheet for the 2018 question. If you want people to wear seatbelts, you've got options. You can use positive reinforcement, like an insurance discount. You can use negative reinforcement, like that annoying alarm that only stops when you buckle up. Or you can use punishment, like a fine. See that? Two of them increase the good behavior, while one decreases the bad behavior. Now, as a 2013 paper pointed out, it's not just about the consequence. The timing and pattern matter too. You can reinforce a behavior every single time, which is great for learning quickly. But if you only reinforce it sometimes, on a partial schedule, that behavior becomes way more resistant to going away. And, of course, the faster the reward comes after the action, the stronger that connection is going to be. But wait, behaviorism isn't the whole story. The mind is not just some simple black box. Thinkers like Tolman with his ideas about cognitive maps, and Kohler with his chimps having those aha moments of insight, they proved that something much more complex is going on inside our heads. So let's look at how our thoughts and what we see play a huge role in learning. This is where Albert Bandura comes in with his game-changing work. He showed that we can learn just by watching someone else, a model. We don't need to be reinforced ourselves. And this is absolutely essential for answering a question like the 2015 one on media violence. Kids can learn aggressive behaviors just by seeing them on TV, without ever being rewarded or punished for it directly. But learning can also have a really dark side, which was highlighted in the 2011 paper. Seligman's famous experiments showed that if an animal is put through repeated, inescapable pain or punishment, it eventually learns that nothing it does matters. It just gives up. This state of just passively accepting a bad situation is called learned helplessness, and it has huge implications for how we understand things like human depression. Okay, let's get into a couple of topics that, when you use them in an answer, really signal to the examiner that you've done your homework: programmed learning and probability learning. These pop up a lot and show you've gone beyond just the basics. Programmed learning is basically Skinner's ideas applied to education. You break a complex subject down into tiny, manageable steps, and you get reinforced at each step. Now, probability learning, which we saw in 2018 and 2023, is much more cognitive. It's about how we figure out the odds of something happening. It's the reason we sometimes fall for the gambler's fallacy, thinking a coin is due for heads after 5 tails in a row, even when the odds are always 50-50. So, at the end of the day, passing this exam isn't just about knowing the theories. Not at all. It's about being able to apply them. UPSC wants to see that you can take a concept and connect it to a real-world problem. Here is a simple but really powerful framework for your answers. Always start with the core theory, then define its key concepts, just to show you know your stuff. Give a classic textbook example, like the Skinner box, to ground your answer. And then, the most important part, apply all of that directly and with detail to the specific scenario in the question. And just to leave you with a final thought, start looking for these principles all around you. Seriously, whether it's a government campaign trying to get you to drive safely, or that ad that makes you feel like a soft drink is the key to friendship and fun, these powerful principles of learning are at work all the time, shaping what we do every single